Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
Chad Kuba. How are you guys? I couldn't find the microphone for the American Idol, but I am like a key grip on stage. How was
How
that?
did you come from like under the stage?
Wow. Now you can't see it. I came from the green screen.
Jeez
Guys.
Louise. Joe Surratt, what's up, everybody?
All right, and that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Yeah, that took a lot of energy out of me. I'm gonna have to take a nap now.
I'm exhausted.
I had a long weekend, man.
Yeah. How was the basketball tournament?
First one we didn't come back with a chip from. No championships this weekend. We went 0 for 4.
Done?
We played some really, really, really good teams, and
Those Amish kids whipped you guys down in Lancaster.
no, we played some excellent teams. We lost to a team in our first in my son's 13-year-old division. We lost to a team by I think they beat us by 18, man, right?
Wow.
They should not have beat us, but they smoked us. Okay. We played terrible. We as coaches, I didn't do a good job. And then so they had to play a back-to-back. So they stay on and they play the next team in our pool, and the team in our pool beats them. And then we played that team that beat them. So
wow.
whole division's 1-1, but because we played like garbage in the first game, the point differential had us, we didn't make playoffs.
Yeah.
So we felt confident that, we beat it. And the team that actually did make it over us ended up going to the chip. So we know where we sit wise, but yeah.
What's the chip?
It wasn't a good weekend there. We didn't show.
Championship.
I've never heard anybody call it the chip.
So a championship is a chip, and the championship game is called a ship. We're going to the ship. And
Since when is this new terminology come about?
Total kid generation.
Got it. I've never heard that before in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have kids that play in chips and strips.
Sorry, my internet's bad today. I feel like Joe.
Good, I'm glad.
My internet cut out twice during.
Good. That's what you get. My weekend wasn't all that crazy. We started indoor soccer. We played a team that was like their smallest kid was twice as big as our biggest kid, and
how'd you do?
We actually tied 4-4. We played really, really well.
Still undefeated.
Tied every game.
Still undefeated in Auburn youth on Auburn.
It's actually not in Auburn, but yeah, no, we did. We tied. It was crazy.
Close enough.
But we were short like 5 kids, so we had no bench. It was pretty brutal. And now they have to play indoors with the masks on, and that's a little challenging. So, it's pretty standard weekend. But what about you, Coach? Are you frozen?
I don't know. My internet's so bad you cut out again. Every time you talk, it cuts out. I feel like you. I put up Christmas lights on Saturday.
We're just gonna
did stuff around the house. It was the last day before it was like gonna freeze over, and I can't hear pretty much anything you're saying. So you can just make fun of me. It'll be awesome. I love it.
Now you know how I felt for the last month.
Better now.
Anyways, well, now you got to introduce our guests. Jack.
Yeah.
Well, aren't we going to talk about our upshows at the expo spots first, there, fellas?
I didn't know if you wanted to do that at the end, but sure, we can do it now.
Yeah, and Joe's
we should do it now before we introduce the guest.
What's wrong?
What? Huh?
Is my internet messed up now?
No.
Oh, I thought you were saying mine was messed up. All right, this is a disaster. Let's move on. I'm gonna do John Ryan, proper spacing of Tracer Wire. That's on December 1st from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. John's gonna come on and talk about his products, the Tracers, not Tracer Snap. What's it called? Tracer Spacer. Wow, it's Monday. I don't feel good. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm really just.
You don't like things that rhyme, apparently?
I'm dying on the vine here. But John's a great guy. He's the inventor and owner of the organization, and he's got a lot of good tips, tricks, and some things that are, for safety factors.
And spent how many years at a utility before he started that?
I don't know. Go back and watch his interview.
A lot.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's who I have. And you guys, we got.
Well,
go ahead, you go.
From Setco. He is hosting a mud school on December 2nd from 9 to 11:30 a.m. There's going to be a half-hour break in between from 10 to 10:30. Just to prep and get everything around. But it's going to be a virtual mud school that I think if you don't know much about drilling fluids or that thereof, I suggest you tune into that one, guys.
Cool.
How about you, Coop?
I got so I have Jill Lehman, or Falconer. She's gonna love that because I think she got married in between the time we made the website and she's doing this. So she has a different last name on the website. You know, we can't go into that anymore, but she's gonna do an awesome presentation on compaction, and she's gonna be great. She seems like a great speaker. We've met with her a bunch of times now, and she's kind of a little ball of fire, and I think it'll be fun for her to teach some soil compaction and just you know, a lot of utilities don't really think about that soil compaction piece and how much it costs them and how much it can save them to do it correctly up front and what it saves them in the long run. So it'll be fun to have her. That's on December 3rd, 10:30 to 11:30. Sign up at upscoexpo.com.
Chad,
Yeah.
stop talking before your computer freezes again.
Sorry.
Who are we interviewing today?
So, Ted, you usually do this introduction, but today it's somebody near and dear to my heart. Pretty much my mentor when I came to UPSCO, my biggest pain in the butt before I came to UPSCO for the most part. Mike Tallant. You don't have to say a whole lot more than that, but pretty much anybody that's been in this industry since you could use an abacus to count like Mike knows Mike. So he's been around for a long time. He's a lot of fun to talk to. He's even more fun to be around. He still gets to even come to some trade shows with us and things like that. But he was in the industry for I think about 45 years, something like that.
In the interview.
Yeah, you can do the
Watch the
whole bring
interview.
in part. I just like to talk about him, but Ted, I'll leave you to your line.
Okay, so without further ado, welcome to the show, the infamous Mike Tallant. Hello, Mike, and welcome to Connections for Life. It's good to see you.
Welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
Hey, Mike,
We've been
how are you,
inviting you for 3 months. You won't come on though.
How'd you
It's
get
30
Jamie?
We got you now. Now
It's
we
been
got
30,
you.
31 weeks. Now we know how to get a hold of you. Now you're in trouble.
I'm moving and I'm changing my phone number. and not giving you.
You can't
smashing
stay
this
away.
computer immediately upon completion of the interview.
So, Mike, as we all know, you've been in the gas industry for quite a long time. You kind of have crossed many different career paths and platforms here. Chad will probably get into some of those, but I just wanted to kind of ask the question: how did it all start? Where did you end up? How'd you end up in the natural gas industry from the very beginning?
Well, after service, I went to work for EI DuPont in Chicago, and they trained me in coatings. And I was there in Chicago for a couple of years, and they moved me to Minnesota. Stayed up there total time with DuPont in finishes, both industrial, OEM, consumer. I was trying to go international, and to go international, you had to be multifaceted, fabrics and everything. I really got brilliant after about 9 years, and I bought a bar.
A great move. Smart.
Well, I was in the gas industry.
I was going to say that just cemented it. Yeah, that was it.
It's a great way to expense stuff.
But I ran that for 5 years, and people have accused me, but it was in Wabasha, Minnesota, and the guy named Slippery was my best friend up there, and it is the one that they made the movie of, Grumpy Old Man.
That's
Look at you now.
I sold the bar because I became my own best customer. I was really good at that. Went back to Pittsburgh as the vice president of a paint company called Wheeler Paints.
Wow.
In Pittsburgh.
I
Stayed
didn't know
there
that.
about a year. The guy, I was going to buy the company. The owner got healthy. I made him very healthy because it was in the time that the big mass Home Depots and things like that were coming in. There was a company called Busy Beaver, and I took the largest single order of paint in the DuPont history and for this Wheeler Paint, and made him very healthy monetarily, not just physically. So him and I had some disagreements, and I left. I got picked up and became the national sales manager of a small company out of Lawnox called Royston Laboratories.
So that brings us into the next question, Mike. As far as Royston, I mean, that's a name that is synonymous in coating still, and a bunch of different stuff.
Right.
I mean, they're still around with their tape coat products and everything like that. So it's pretty amazing that that's kind of where you got back into this side of it in the.
When you hear the stories from Jack Royston and all, who's now passed away, but about the Alaskan pipeline and about all the other things and how he got in it. It was a good company. But one of the things that happened, I had a lot of company salespeople, and they were bought out by a company out of Boston, Chase Corporation, and they wanted to go to manufacturers reps. So I was deemed responsible to fire all my salespeople. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. So what happened is I made them a deal, and I became their salesperson. And I opened up a company called Tallant Enterprises and started, and it was great for them. Who knew?
What year was that, Mike?
Huh?
What year was that around?
80, 85, 86.
Man, I can't imagine what the industry was like and how different it was compared to when you actually retired and how it is
Those
now.
days, we were still wearing suits and ties to go to work. And
Meanwhile, I have a hat on.
we have not a hat, and you didn't have shirts and shorts and go like that. And what has happened before I went to UPSCO, Danny, I knew Danny when he was way back when. I knew his dad.
Well, you knew him when he was a kid. I've seen pictures of you in his house when Dan was a kid.
But his dad and I were best of friends. His dad was probably the largest customer I had, Equitable Gas. He was the purchasing agent. And those days are gone. Computers and cell phones and all that kind of good stuff came in. Old men like me, there's only a few of us that are still left. One of your C4. Another one was Bernie Schmidt. If you ever remember Bernie, had the speech impediment. He taught me more about personal selling than any 5 guys could in any school. Then it became so impersonal, and then it went to the McJunkins and things like this that even made it less important for personal contact. That you could sit at home and just make phone calls, and that wasn't the type of selling that we were groomed to do in our day. We were definitely, I knew everybody's wife, their kids' names, their birthdays, things like that.
I feel like there's a joke there, Mike. I'm sorry.
I'm sure.
My bad.
Yes, you are.
It's just, it amazed me, and that's one of the things, you know, Mike. When I came to UPSCO, it's almost 7 years ago now, believe it or not. You were pretty much my mentor, and I took over your territory that you had built for.
Yeah.
I mean, you had built it for as long as you can, you know, since the 80s. It was pretty much your region and your territory, and you know, I know we're in the middle of the interview, but I want to say thank you for leaving me with such a good place and teaching me all the things I needed to know. I still don't tuck my shirt in or iron it correctly.
What was her name?
You know.
Yeah. No, I mean, let's just. I just want to dial back to the Royston days. You know, when you switched off of there, at what point? I mean, when did you leave Royston, and what did that look like? What was the next?
Royston has great products. I mean, they had the Green Line was the Cadillac of the industry for a long time, and Roscoe.
Right, I was just gonna say their bitumastic stuff it crushed it up.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
The things that happened were advancements. They didn't keep up in the pipeline industry, sort of like the Trentons and other people did. But they still had great products. And when I went out on my own, Lou Royston, who was Jack's brother, owned CSI. And he put me on. And so I had 2 lines that were Roystons. And then a friend of mine, Al Gorey from Canada, who was one of the Royston reps that I had, called me up and said, would you be interested in a tool line? And I said, oh, I have no idea about tools. He says, neither do we, but they're good.
Man, you still don't. What year was that?
That's still how we sell them. Like, exactly. That's the sales.
I used that line this morning.
Me up to Canada, and the guy up there gave me the United States was it's how small the company was. But they made a great product, and I sold the living bejesus out of them because they were great. And I was competing against you guys with Mustangs,
right?
Things like that.
And you know, most of it, you haven't said it yet, but they're probably one of our most. James has probably been on our show most out of anybody, or people from Footage. Yeah. So Mike's talking about Footage tools and how he brought that to the States.
Good stuff.
Still is. Still amazing.
I guess, Mike, when you went up to Canada and got to meet these guys, not having a tooling background, being more on like the corrosion side or the coating side, what I guess what like lured you to them and said, yes, I would like to bring them on and like have this be one of my, you know, another tool or another product in my bucket that I can sell in the United States? What was the mark there?
That's exactly what it was. I needed lines, and they took me for a couple of weeks and just drilled me on squeeze off tools, besides all the other things they had, the piercing tools, things like that. And they were so ahead of their game in inventing things. And if you had a problem, they whipped their rear ends down to the problem, looked at it, and came up with a solution. They weren't set in their ways. They were willing to try anything. And then, Dan Ferguson was just working for them then. Then he eventually bought them out and became the president with Nigel and all. But they were great people to work with. It was just an easy way to sell, and the squeeze off became super for me. I sold
It still is, honestly. I mean, it's
for
still
us.
an amazing tool line for us.
But they
Eddie,
were the
did you?
innovators all the way up to the steel squeeze offs.
Now they're
They did a
huge.
Great job.
Well, so that shares how you came to find footage, but I'd like to know how you came to be a part of Upsco and how long you were with Upsco. We know how now that's how footage got to the.
Andy owed me a lot of money. He made me promise that you guys, as a reputable company, and I'm not being funny here, Danny would not have screwed with my territory. Because again, his relationship with his dad and things like that. They had Trenton, I had Royston, and he would not have come into my area without asking me. And at that time, it was Jim Beam. And Jim came to me and said, are you interested in coming with us? And I said, yeah, if I could keep a couple of loans. One of them was, you had Mustang, I kept footage tools. And I kept telling you, you guys ought to get rid of this because the markups are better, the people are better, the equipment was better. And it took you a few years before they finally realized that footage was what you should have done. But Jim Beam and Andy made me a deal. I was not on the same program the other guys. I had a special arrangement because they took over my territory. And gave them all the business, and it was easy. But working for you guys was a blessing. It really was. I have great respect for Dan and Andy and Jim Beam in those times. I drank a lot of Crown.
How long were you with Upsco?
Say again?
How long were you with Upsco total?
I started July '99, I believe it was, and ended June 13.
Wow, 14.
For me, Mike, it seems, you know, I've been with Upsco for 10 years now. And when I started, you know, you're obviously one of the outside sales guys, right? And as Chad alluded to and had mentioned, you know, I think that you guys, and specifically you, really set the pace for us, you know, as I hate to say this, but what it meant to be a professional. You know,
what it means to be.
I appreciate that.
You did, and you always did it with such charisma and class. And I was always in awe watching you when we would go to trade shows as how much people like just loved you. And
everybody wants to be around you, right?
Yeah. And it wasn't about the products that you were selling, or it was just about that you treated everybody so fairly and were just so honest and upfront. And we learned a lot from you. And I always tell Chad, and you know, when I first came to the company, I was kind of a snot-nosed idiot. Not that that's much different today, but in all seriousness, you kind of ran me through the gauntlet and tested us, and you pushed us in ways that I don't think, from a mentor perspective, most people would give you credit for. So I just want to personally say thank you.
I appreciate
that. I know for 100% fact, if Mike Tallant didn't work at Upsco when I came here, I wouldn't still be here today. And
I think
so
one
thanks
of
from
my
all of us.
best accomplishments was that on your right-hand side there was finding Chad.
Absolutely.
He's so easy to control. I could,
Well, he's also my best friend in the world, you know, and all of those things go hand in hand.
I didn't
You know, I
hire
never
him
wouldn't have known
because
him.
he was a salesman. I hired him because his wife was beautiful.
Still the only reason I'm here.
That's true. A lot of mileage out of that, Jado. No, but for real, Mike, I mean, I wanted to just say thank you. And it was so important for us to get you on the show because of that. And I know you left in 2000. Get out of here. See, we do that all the time. I'm on the phone. Yeah, I know. In 2013, it just doesn't seem like it's been that long since you've been gone, and we miss you. You know, it's nice to. It was nice to, you know, even the trade shows to be able to get together with you at least a couple times a year.
I would not have
But
left if it hadn't been for the tragedy in my family. I was still,
understood.
but I got too old. I couldn't keep up with you wackos on the computer and doing the business the way you did it.
I'm not going to share all the details, but that keeping up with us is BS because
utter fabrication.
Because I'm going to give you one story. The last time we were in Morgantown, we were all out having a good time with a whole group of people. And at about 10 p.m., maybe 11, you said, I'm too old. I need to go home. And you made Chad drive you back to the hotel. And then
oh my God, I forgot all about this.
Then we went back and went to bed, and we found out the next day that you were out till like 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, I don't think it was that late.
2 maybe. You abandoned us to go to your
nap. He took a nap. Got him started over again.
Son of a gun.
Rest and rally.
You're the only guy I know that parties. Wait a minute.
Don't keep up.
Go ahead.
Relationship with your competitors. I forget what movie it is. But keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
Sure.
I was always buddies with all of my competitors.
We all are, I think. That's something else you really taught us. I mean,
then go out and drink.
That's something you taught us. I mean, the other thing that you know, I'll bring up Chuck, but I think you used to do the same thing. Was Big Chuck he would show up 15 minutes early, order a vodka soda, have one, and make sure he tipped the girl $20 so that she gave him just soda after from there on out.
You're right.
And those are just things. Those are things that people don't teach you typically, and that's what you taught us. Those are the things that I thrive on, and what makes me those make me a better salesman and a better person. Really, just stupid little things that most people don't think about. The little things matter the most.
And it's cool to carry those traditions on. You know, that like we get to remember that stuff, and we do it now.
And we get to give it back.
Right. Exactly. I mean, we wouldn't be anywhere without a lot of the things that you did long before we even ever thought about coming to UPSCO. And then, you know, obviously when we got here, and I just want to, again, you know, Mike, always a professional, always a ton of class. And we just.
Thank you. I'm just so happy to see that UPSCO has blossomed to the company that, you know, when I first came on board, it was X. Now it's X times 10. You know, and if I had a little part of that, I'm happy.
You definitely.
I can speak for the newbie on the block here that your legacy reigns supreme within the organization and the natural gas industry, Mike. As these guys echoed your sentiments here, they're not just doing it because you're sitting on the screen with us or in this conference with us. It's done not just from these two, but from anyone within the organization who you imprinted on. It is done, and it's relayed to new guys like me, who I've been here 2 years, but I've been hearing Mike Tallant stories for 2 years. I've been getting taught Mike Tallant.
Look at his face.
Don't mention it either.
And as humble as you're being, man, that is a sentiment to really your legacy in the industry. So
you know, and I want to say this too, Mike. You know, it's funny to me that you've been gone for 7 years now, 7+ years. Yet I still get people when I see them to ask me, "How you doing? How's Mike?"
100%. How's Mike?
You know, I miss him. How's he doing? Tell him I said hi. Like all the time. So you made a big imprint, not just on us, but on all your customers and all the relationships and the people
and all your friends. I mean,
yeah.
We want to round it out with maybe one or two great UPSCO stories, but I can. I just want to share a quick Mike Tallant story from the first time that I ever met Mike, probably about 12 or 13 years ago when I worked as a competitor, as he talks about keeping his competitors close. He didn't really keep me close that day. I was selling a type of pipeline protection product, Rock Shield, as you would, not the kind that UPSCO sells now, a different one. And I had only ever heard of Mr. Tallant, but I ran into him at a small trade show in Philadelphia. And you guys can probably guess which one it is if you've ever been to a trade show in Philadelphia in the corrosion world. And I was standing there, and I was, at that time, I had to be 27, 28, you know, just getting into the sales side of this stuff. And he walked up, and his first question was, "Who the are you?" And I went, "Who are you?" And then that's how I met Mike. Like he didn't ever even introduce himself to me. But then 20 minutes later, he came back over and he was like, "Hey, you know, I'm just breaking your stones." And so I have a handful. I have great ones. The first time Lindsay ever met Mike, they're fantastic. I have so many. We could write a book about it, really.
I just have one question for you, Mike.
It, but it has to be after I die to print it.
Mike, I have one question for you. Sorry, my internet cracked out on me there for a second. I went silent for 30. I just want to ask you, you have so many memories in your career. Is there one that stands out for you, Mike? Is there one achievement or one accomplishment for you that was just that was the pinnacle of your career or your time in the industry?
My suggestion is the time that he sold like 82 truckloads of anodes. And then he had anode fires and would throw, if you've ever thrown an anode in a fire, you know, they pretty much explode and turn bright blue.
On the moon.
No, but in seriousness, Mike, is there something that really sticks out for you? Whether it was a sale or a conversation or a relationship or something that happened that just was your one of your favorite memories?
Competing against you guys for a couple of years when Andy was a Trenton salesman.
Right.
And competing against you guys, and then to be asked to join your organization. It was a highlight of my career. First of all, was during some really rough times, but going with you guys was the highlight of my career. I could have done better, could have done worse, whatever, business-wise, but I never missed a forecast. And I just think that.
Boy, I wish I would have carried that along.
Me too.
What is the name?
Chad didn't learn everything from you, apparently.
But I think my highlight of my career was realizing that I wasn't as good on my own as I could have been, and going with you guys and I had a backup force in those days with you guys. It was wonderful.
Well, I think that what you're saying right there is synonymous in a multitude of ways, but one of them is that one of UPSCO's core values is simply that together we are better. And you know, if you're echoing that sentiment right there, you know, you got better when we got together. That's a pretty powerful statement as to where
I became a better salesman because I had a force to back me up because of you guys. But Danny has a list of Tallant sayings apparently.
I tried to get him, but it won't come over right. I'll send him to Joe so we can share him. We'll definitely share him in the intro and outro.
If it ain't fun, it ain't worth doing.
That's the one thing I learned from you, Mike.
Your kids, your family, everything else. If it ain't fun, forget it. Do something else. Get out of the business. Because this is you go back to a motel and punch pillows around if you hear no a lot of the times.
Happens more often than not, honestly. But
you have to have some thick skin.
You get told no for a living. You know, you live. That's the nature of the beast.
Then you get to go back in 3 weeks and ask again.
The accolades, and I appreciate the time. I don't know who would be interested in seeing this damn thing.
More people than you know, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
More people than
I was interested in seeing this one just because it was an opportunity to get to meet you and to hear some of the stories and put a face to a very, very, very talked about name in so many positive ways. So from me to you, Mike, I really appreciate your time and thank you for joining us on this show. I know these two are both going to have a heartfelt sentiment for you, so I'll shut up now.
No, you said it well, Ted. Mike, you'd be surprised at how many people want to see how you're doing. And I know that you've ended this chapter and you moved into a new chapter of your life. And we're all just really happy for you. I'm happy to see that you're doing well and that you're feeling well and that you're healthy and you guys are just, living your best retired life. So just continue doing that and check in with us periodically because we do miss you, man.
I try and stay in touch with Chad every once in a while.
Yeah, he sends me 400 emails a day.
Oh yeah.
I got on that list somehow last week, so I've made it.
I'm gonna- good.
Mike,
Oops.
like I said halfway through this, thank you for who you are, what you've done for me and my family, what you've done for this industry. I mean, this industry isn't the same without you, and I certainly am not either. So I really appreciate that. It means more than you could ever imagine to me and my family. So
Thank you.
thank you.
But you left a lot of pieces behind when you left. You left a lot of good ideas, memories, thoughts, and
And some
professionalism.
bad ones too. Don't get me
Many bad ones. Yeah, many bad ones. But we're not going to talk about those. We're just going to stick with the positive, Chad, today.
I get it.
Mike, take care. We'll talk
Thank
to
you
you
for
really
joining us,
soon.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Invite me to the sales meetings.
If we ever
You
get one
don't
again.
want to come to the sales
I
meeting.
go to yours. I want to go to NACE.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you can go to Nace, Salt Lake City next
Guys,
year.
we'll talk to you later, Mike.
Bye-bye.
okay.
Mike, that was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. It's truly my honor to get to finally meet you virtually, albeit at that, after all the stories I heard.
It's probably the safest way.
Yeah, it really is the safest way. Consider yourself lucky. God, I miss that guy.
Made it out of
I
the
really
room.
do.
So, okay, that was great.
Is it time for
Gas fact.
gas fact?
Yeah, we can do that. I just want to say thanks to Mike. You know, he's been around for a long time, and it's, as Ted said, we don't get to see him. I don't very often anymore because of COVID and the fact that he doesn't live near us. And it was just nice to have the conversation and talk to him again. It's been quite a long time since we've actually sat down and done that. So, Mike, thank you very much. For our next trick, we got to get Chuck on, but we'll work on that still, right, Goobs? We're still working on that.
Yeah, I might send in other artillery.
The heavy artillery
Yeah,
going
the
in.
heavier
Good, wonderful.
artillery.
So stay tuned for that. So gas fact, this is kind of just a basic one, but the U.S. produces about 22% of the world's natural gas production. And I thought that was interesting. It doesn't sound like that much, but if you think about all the other places on Earth, I mean, that's a lot of.
And it's a huge amount. I mean, what if you really think about it, it couldn't have been anywhere close to that even 10 years ago to 15 years ago.
No.
It was probably 3%, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the reason that we are energy independent and all that stuff. So,
Absolutely.
just
I wonder what portion of like the pie chart that would look like. You know what I mean? Like
About 22% of it.
well,
Yeah,
obviously,
about
but like
a quarter, about a quarter of it.
in comparison to the other large producers of it. You guys,
It'd be about 22% of that survey.
Almost.
I'll see if
ratio to
hold on. I can draw it for you real quick.
I'm done recording. You do that.
I'm sorry, my internet actually works today, so I can actually.
I hope everybody hangs on for that part.
No one will. It's just us
No.
laughing about it. So, I don't know. Do you guys have anything else? Chad, do you want to touch on anything? No. All
He's
right.
muted.
No. I know. I coughed and I didn't want to cough out loud on the thing. So
That's what you're concerned about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm referring to.
What? What happened?
Nothing.
We're not going to point attention to that now.
What happened? I'm
Mute yourself
I'm
for
gonna go. I'm gonna go because you guys are making me feel uncomfortable.
You should go. You've ruined everything.
Seriously, no, great episode. Remember to continue, like, subscribe, share, please share, please share. Go register for the Upscale Expo for a plethora of classes of natural
Yeah,
gas.
that's a big word. Plethora.
Spell it,
Like-
Chad.
That's my dollar word of the day.
Ooh, I'm a 25-cent guy.
Nickel. Nickel.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Bye.
Thank you guys.